India is the largest contributor of troops to UN peacekeeping missions around the world. The largest Indian contingent is right now serving in war-torn Congo, driving the biggest peacekeeping mission in the world. So how are the Indian troops combating with and dealing with the challenges in Congo? On Gravitas Frontline tonight, we take you to Goma and show you the life of an Indian soldier in Congo. WION's Karthikeya Sharma reporting.
UN peacekeepers have been working in Congo for nearly 20 years. This is UN's biggest peacekeeping mission in the world, and Indian troops make up the biggest contingent of the operation. Indian troops are deployed in the most unstable provinces of war-torn Congo. But they have not shied away from the challenge.
Challenges are in multiple domains. If you see today, the nature of conflicts has changed. It's very difficult to have consent of all parties to the conflict for peacekeeping missions. They have moved from peacekeeping to peace enforcement, robust peacekeeping. The UN itself is undergoing a lot of changes. Budgets are getting cut, resources are becoming minimal. One has to achieve more and more, cover larger areas of the country with lesser troops. And when you come within Congo per se and mission, the complexities have increased. The regime has its own interests. There are a large number of neighboring countries which have vested interests. Illegal armed groups have grown more than 70. Resources are such in Congo that there are a lot of parties which have their hands into it. And then, of course, is the dynamics of elections which were to be held, and therefore all sort of political engineering. So you see the challenges. And there is one more important I would like to add. And the challenge for a man in uniform to maintain that correct balance while pursuing his mandate, that he remains in connect with the population. He has to support the regime as part of the security sector reforms, and therefore can't be seen too aligned with any of the party. First, I'll tackle the second half of your first question. You also were hinting towards the contribution by the Indians. So you see, historically, if you go, and I will talk only in context of Congo, right from 60s, that was the first part of the mission, 60 to 64. Then we move into the second phase, 2005 onwards. And all through, you see, we have been the largest contributor. If you see the entire missions, the cumulative contribution of Indians has been almost of 235,000 troops in 49 missions.
That's quite much.
So that is not just about our contribution. It's about the recognition of how well we connect with the ethos of peacekeeping, with the core values of UN. And therefore, now when we come in context of the various pillars as to how you progress these operations, so like in any such operation where you have such large number of stakeholders, the endeavors have to be a mix of everything. You have to do peacekeeping, you have to protect the civilians. Therein, you have to establish firewalls at times, you have to neutralize the armed groups, and therefore you have to use strong instruments of force application. You have to keep your linkages with the population, because ultimately you are here to establish peace for them, and therefore your community outreach has to be an important component, as is part of it in our endeavors in any part that is within our country itself. So you can't really say what is more important, and that is why you see in the UN environment it's a very close enmeshed functioning between the political, between the civil affairs, the humanitarians, the force. So together it is that we further the execution of the mandate.
The Indian peacekeepers, or Blue Helmets, work in a challenging environment. Last year in October, they repulsed an attack by 30 local rebels. Despite several rebuilding efforts, the Goma city still remains on the edge. Indian troops are often part of area domination exercises like these in the area.
Well, what you're witnessing is an exercise being done by Indian Army, which works under the United Nations peacekeeping mission in Congo, is to dominate the area. The purpose of this exercise, the purpose of the armored vehicle, the purpose of the officers to go out in the village is to give a message to the local militia or those who try to disrupt law and order that they will be able to take hard and strong action in case someone tries to disrupt the law. or someone tries to take the law in its own hand. Many people would say that why so much of heavy weapon? Because in past, the peacekeeping mission has come under attack from a lot of militias. And for simple reason, because after the genocide which took place in Rwanda, a lot of people, a lot of Hutus had migrated to the parts of Congo. Now this has created a massive problem here. And because of tribal issues, loyalties and ethnicities, the conflict rages. And because of completely non-existent infrastructure, non-existent road, it is very difficult for people to go without protection to intervene in the villages.
More than 30 countries have contributed military and police personnel for the peacekeeping effort in Congo. But United Nations bears all costs. Soldiers from the Indian military are in charge of 15 bases in Congo, which includes Goma Hill, the most important strategic site for the Blue Helmets.
As you have already seen, this is a place which is the vantage point. It actually dominates the complete Goma town. Now all the critical assets, that is the harbour, the port, the airstrip, as well as the town, can be dominated in case we are holding on to this location. Also, all the communication, as you can see to your back, there are a lot of communication towers and the television towers. So it also is a communication hub from which all the communication of Goma town is.
Basically, you are basically telling me, you take this spot away, you actually take away the telecommunication, radio, all sort of electronic communication equipment, and you can actually jam them from the town.
Yes, because all the towers are located, because this is, as you can see around, this is the only vantage point, the highest point here from where the various communication towers are working. It was taken over in 2012-13 by the M23 when the M23 had come in. But now it is with the UN, and this responsibility has been entrusted to the Indian contingent to maintain and upkeep this strategic asset at Goma.
So how many people do you deploy? It's modest number. How much it takes from your part to deploy people here to protect it? Because you know the lake is very porous. You have got the Rwanda at back. You have got a town which you dominate, but then terrorists cross over, belong to other countries also.
If we are talking about Goma Hill per se, as you can see, the deployment space is restricted. We have a platoon strength at Goma Hill. The balance assets for looking after the complete Goma town, we have a complete battalion here which looks after the security of the Goma town. But for the Goma Hill per se, it is a platoon strength which is on this hill.
Unlike the old days, women are playing a major role in bringing peace to Congo. Many Indian officers are serving as military observers in rural areas to build community confidence.
Coming to your question of challenges, as far as the challenges are concerned, for women officers, we face the similar challenges as our male counterparts. So there is nothing like, something which I would really like to highlight upon that that is worth commenting that, okay, this particular field is like really challenging for women. Nothing like that. As far as the experiences goes, definitely it's the most enriching experience, one of the most enriching experience of my military career so far. And going in the far-flung areas, in the villages, getting to interact with the local population over there, particularly the women, women of the villages, it develops a sense of confidence even amongst the population that okay, this woman from some different country is here for us. She's here to interact with us on one-to-one basis. So that opens up a lot of avenues, and it builds a lot of bridges between the the people of the villages and the UN fraternity as such.
So it is a matter of great pride to actually wear the uniform, wear the national flag on your chest, and represent the country in an international environment. So yes, secondly, of course, the job of a Milob. We knew what the job entails, and yes, some part of it I was doing back home as well.
But Akasha, what does the job entail in one sentence?
It entails actually implementing the mandate, yes. And in Milob gives you actually a lot of freedom to perform the task in whatever way that you think, in your ingenuous way, and in a way that you think is the best and the best suited to your area of responsibilities that you are deployed in.
So, you know,
More than 18,000 soldiers from across nationalities wear the blue helmet in Congo. but recent budget cuts have affected the peacekeeping operation. According to some estimates, there is on average 1 soldier for every 1,100 civilians in the conflict-hit areas. The Indian troops, who are the biggest contingent in Congo, have been the driving force behind the shift in strategy to ensure peace in the country. With Kartikeya Sharma in Congo, Bureau Report, WION.
And with that, it's a wrap of this edition of Gravitas, leaving you with Gravitas Images. Thanks very much for watching.